Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. This is your Sheffield United versus Cardiff City preview, as the Bluebirds must find a way to fight in what is becoming a very desperate situation. But is there hope, as Sheffield United's automatic promotion push has somewhat crumbled in recent weeks? But this will be an absolute must-watch game, 5:30 Friday. On the TV, on the telly box. It's going to be fascinating. It's got to be said. Sheffield United, as I say, were flying. I've lost 3 on the bounce. Cardiff haven't won a game in 4, though. 3 of those draws. So, technically, you could say Cardiff are in slightly better form, but Sheffield United have fallen away, which is a big problem, for them. You'd think that they'll kind of get the train back on the tracks. And if you want to get the train back on the tracks, you want to play teams who are not very good, who maybe can score a few goals against, etc., etc. From a Cardiff City point of view, it's the story of the season. Defensive lapses, lack of goals, problems, shall we say. Performances haven't been there. And I think probably the biggest issue, like when you take away from defensive lapses, goals, all the rest of it, like the biggest problem for Cardiff is they've drawn too many games this year, and that doesn't seem to have changed. All season we've just, even when we've been in good unbeaten runs, they haven't been full of wins. They've been very much draws, and this is the same thing again. It's been a lot of draws. So Cardiff have to find a way. They have to find the fight. They have to find the aggression. And most of all, they kind of have to find the togetherness that at the moment it looks like they don't have. For me, one of the biggest issues for Cardiff is, like, if you can find form with a bit of luck, with a bit of fight, you can get yourself out of form by going back to basics, things like this. The problem is, togetherness isn't something you can force. Team spirit isn't something that you can force. So ultimately, the players have to look themselves in the mirror, and they have to have professional pride, and they have to play for themselves. They have to play for their teammates. They have to play for the badge. They have to play for the people who pay your wages, ultimately. Because if you're a professional footballer, the one thing you should be guaranteed to be doing is giving 120% every single day, because at the moment it does feel like there's a big divide between the players, the fans, the players, the manager. There's definitely issues, but Cardiff have got to find a way. You haven't got time for all the drama. You haven't got time for these problems. Cardiff must find a way to win football matches. Sheffield United are in dreadful form. Plymouth showed the way, showed that Sheffield United are a beatable football team. So Cardiff must find a way to get that going and to find a similar result. A draw probably isn't enough now, whereas previously a draw away at Sheffield United is probably a decent result. It's probably not enough, and depending on results elsewhere, of course, it could be an important point. Cardiff absolutely have to make sure they don't lose, but ultimately I believe that they've got to find a way to win. Derby County have won 3 of the last 6. Hull have won 2 of the last 6. Oxford found a way to start winning again and have won 3 of the last 6. Even Plymouth down the bottom have won 3 of the last 6. Luton Town have only lost 1 in 6. Cardiff have found 3 draws, 2 losses and a win in the last 6. They've got to find victories now. And I think these 2 games over the bank holiday period, look, let's be hypothetical for a reason. Let's be hypothetical and let's be positive, right? Let's say Cardiff can find a way against Sheffield United on Friday evening. Okay, 3 points. Then you go into Monday home against Oxford United. You can find another 3 points. Suddenly, because 6 points, I would almost guarantee takes us out of that relegation zone, because someone will drop points. someone or someone else will drop points. So somehow Cardiff are only a point behind Derby County, and they're only a point off that relegation zone. If they could take 6 from these two, that would take them up to 48 points, which that puts them level on Oxford. So depending on how Oxford do, if Oxford lose to Leeds tonight and Cardiff could take 6 points, Cardiff would be level on points with them all of a sudden. So that's not tonight, sorry, Oxford and Leeds Friday night. But Cardiff have got to find that victory versus Sheffield United to put that pressure on Oxford. It's not dead. It is desperate, but it is not dead. There is time. There is way. There is hope, but it is running out, and it's running out fast. Let's just, as is tradition with the preview shows, we have a little deep dive into Sheffield United, our opponents, and Chris Wilder is going to be up for manager of the season. They announced a few: Fark, Parker, Wilder, Labrise, all up for manager of the season. Sheffield United have fallen away in a big way. Chris Wilder will be keen to put a stop to that slide because it's been very poor the last few games. They lost to Plymouth, they lost to Millwall, they lost to Oxford. They lost to Oxford away, but they lost to Millwall at home. And if you look at the way they set up it at home, they started like 4-2-3-1. Millwall went with a 4-4-2 in that game. And they went with one big man, one little man. Wingers out wide, 2 solid midfielders, one bit of a ball player, one a bit more defensive minded. And they went for it. And, probably a bit of luck in there and things like that. But they went for it, 4-4-2. And Sheffield United never were able to really get on top in that game. Don't get me wrong, they had the vast majority of the possession. They had 65% possession. They had 25 shots, but they only had 5 shots on target. Millwall had 7 shots, 2 shots on target, and one of those was a goal in the 20th minute. Is that the blueprint for playing Sheffield United at home? Is don't sit back and hope for the best. Try and get at them a little bit. They travelled to Plymouth on this past Saturday. And again, Sheffield United, same formation, 4-2-3-1. But this time, Plymouth set up in a 3-4-2-1 system, which is interesting. It's like that 3-4-3 that Cardiff have played. Do we switch to that? Who knows? I think there's an argument I think Salic has to play. And then it's who do you put around him. If I'm going with a 4-4-2, I'm probably going Isaac Davis and Salic. Probably. Maybe you could put Davis wide and put Callum Robinson up there. My issue, and not an issue, my worry with Callum is when he has these scoring streaks, he's on fire and he looks sharp and he's very good on the ball, etc. But then when that streak ends and he goes a bit quiet for a bit, his general play and link up is not as sharp. Probably, it's a confidence thing, isn't it? It's a belief thing. He does work hard though, and obviously a little bit it'll depend on fitness and stuff like that. I am recording this a little bit earlier than normal. It's on a Wednesday, so I don't know what they'll say in the press conference tomorrow in terms of injuries. So a bit of this is going to be guessing and stuff like that. But everyone's predicted Sheffield United to win. The score analysis and the stat analysis says Sheffield United 55% chance of winning, Cardiff 20% chance of winning, and then a draw is 23%. Cardiff's recent record against Sheffield United isn't great in the league. However, the last time we played Sheffield United, we beat them 1-0 with a goal from Keane Ashford. Now, of course, it's in the cup, it's heavily rotated teams, etc., etc. But we still beat them. So you have to believe. Now, in the league game, Kiefer Moore came back to haunt us and scored 2 very good goals. From memory, though, I don't think Cardiff were that bad in that game. Sheffield United just got 2 very good finishes, which can happen. In terms of how Sheffield United will line up, it's Chris Wilder. He's going to go with that 4-2-3-1. I think, Cooper's going to be in goal. Harry Clark will play right back. I think Burrow's left back. You've got your Robinson and Ahmed Hodibic in defence. And then it's kind of where they go with that centre-back pairing. Do they go with Chowdhury? Or do they even put Tyrese Campbell in to give an extra person, like further forward? I think it'll be Vinicius Sousa with Peck. I think O'Hare will play off the left. And then I think Saki will play off the right. Two very good wide players, work hard, good on the ball. Tom Cannon has played up front. I think Kiefer Moore plays up front. I think he's motivated for this game. I think he is one that has got a knack for scoring goals, but also against Cardiff. So for me, I think it'll be Kiefer Moore up front. And then it's who do they put in that 10? Will it be Hamer? Will they put Brewster in there? Will they go with a bit more attacking and maybe put a Campbell in there or someone else? I think, and of course I'm guessing, I think they'll go with I think they'll go with Hamer behind. I was just thinking whether they might play Cannon in behind Kiefer Moore. Tom Cannon and Kiefer Moore is like a 2, but no, I think they'll go Hamer and then Kiefer Moore up front. Obviously, it's a guess, but Cardiff have got to stop the ball to the wide players, and they've got to get in and around Kiefer Moore for his link-up play, whether it's Chambers or Mansberg. When he has that ball into his feet, into his chest, into his head, they've got to get in and around him and in front of him to stop that ball, stop him being able to link up with your Hamers and your O'Hares and your Raksaki. Because what they're very good at doing is getting it into the central area, working it wide, and then scoring goals from the wide areas with crosses, pullbacks to the edge of the box, etc. They will put Cardiff under pressure from high balls. They're decent at set pieces. And, I was reading something statistically the other day. Since Christmas, aerial duels, Cardiff have actually won quite a decent amount, which I was very surprised at. But I suppose the amount of, you think of how many headers like Will Fisher's won just in play, that's fine. What we have been absolutely piss poor at is defending set pieces and attacking set pieces. Good grief. We'll get to that in a minute. In terms of your danger man, I think you've got to go with Kiefer Moore, just simply because he scored those 2 great goals against us. We know the danger he possesses with the ball at his feet, but also his link-up play. If you give him a chance in the box, he's going to shoot. He's going to take that opportunity, and he's a decent finisher. We've seen it for us. We've seen it against us. We've seen it for Wales. He's a good player. So you've got to get around him. But they've got a lot of good players. They've got good wide players. They've got good fullbacks. Cardiff will have to be at it. Now, we've seen the different systems, or we talked about 2 of the different systems that have beaten Sheffield United recently. A 4-4-2 from Millwall, the 3-4-3 from Plymouth. And, of course, Oxford beat them before that, 1-0 at Oxford's place, where Oxford just matched them up and played 4-2-3-1. So there's different ways to play. I think away from home, you have to be somewhat solid and compact. The rest of it, you can't just go all guns blazing because you'll get picked off. I think the way to go is like a 4-4-1-1. So like a mixture between 4-2-3-1 and a 4-1-1. It doesn't really make a difference. I said this before. The system you line up in doesn't make as much difference as what people think, because most teams, when they lose possession, they'll go into a certain shape. And when they're in possession, they'll go into a very different shape, whether it's like a 3-5-2 or whatever. So for instance, when Cardiff lose possession, they normally revert to when they play 4 at the back, they'll go 4-4-2. So you'll see 2 banks of 4, and then there'll be Salic and one other person sort of waiting to press at the right times. The one thing I want to see from Cardiff, 2 banks of 4, but I want to see the 2. I want to see us being aggressive in the press, try and win the ball higher up the pitch, and that takes the pressure off you. If you can win the ball in the midfield areas and higher up the pitch, that makes it easier to take the pressure off your defence. If we play a 4-1-1, 4-4-2 type shape in possession, or that's our formation, should I say, that might allow us to be more direct, so we don't have to piss about at the back, playing out from the back and this, that, and the other. You can kind of play off Salic. One of the problems we've had is we haven't had people close enough to Yusuf Salic. Yusuf Salic's link-up play and hold-up play has been very good. You know, even in the last game, he was very good. He was holding off 2 defenders, got the ball, he tries to lay it off, and there's no one with him. So, do you get the benefit of? Do you go with Callum Robinson, who's going to drop into like a number 10 role, or do you go with an out-and-out number 10, like a Ruben Colwell or someone like that, who's up with him, or do you go with just pace? Do you go with Isaac Davis up front with him, and do you just go try and get him behind off flick-ons and layoffs and stuff? That's an option. Or do you go all out body? Do you all out physicality, go 4-4-2, but you play Mate and Salic up front, and you just get it in there, get it in the channels, and maybe you ask Yusuf to do a bit of channel running while Mate is more of the target man, but you try and just put Sheffield United under pressure that way by just bombarding them with balls in the dangerous areas. I'm not quite sure what the way is to go. I think you have to be somewhat pragmatic, but not like over the top. Like, we've got to win the football match at the end of the day. So I think you need runners. I think you need workers, and you've got to take your chances. So I'm going to go with what I would set up with, not what I think the manager will set up with, because let's be honest, it feels like just a bit of a roulette wheel in terms of how Cardiff set up. Like, it could be anything. So, you know, how everything go? I think I would like to see Perry NG right back, Will Fish and Jesper Darland as centre backs, Joel Bagan as left back, and then in the midfield, I would go with Mansverk and Robertson. On the left of midfield or left wing, I would go Callum O'Dowda. On the right, I would go with Will Alves for now, I think. Either Alves or Ashford. I'm a bit torn on that one. Up front, I'm going Yusuf Salic and Isaac Davis. And I think you've got to go all out. Pace, power, work rate. O'Dowda will work hard. Ashford will work hard in the wide areas there. You've got Robertson who will work hard. And although he wasn't very good against Stoke, he's finding his feet a little bit. But I think Mansverk's defensive work and aggression, but also his ball carrying ability helps us out. I also don't think this is what we will play, by the way. So I go, Robertson and Mansverk, Ashford right, O'Dowda left, and then Salic with Isaac Davis up front. That means you've got Will Alves, you've got Callum Robinson, you've got Ruben, you've got Tanner, you've got Mate, you've got Turnbull, and Willock as well, all attacking options. You've also then got Chambers and a few others who can kind of slot in. I don't think that's what we'll do. I think I will try and guess on my research. I think we'll go 4-2-3-1. I think it'll be NG, Fish, Darland, and O'Dowda as left back. I think then you'll see Chambers and Mansverk as a 2. I think then you'll see either, you might see Ashford in there, you might see Robertson in there, you might see Turnbull in there, you might see Ruben in there in the 10. I think he might go with Ashford in the 10. And then I think he'll go with Isaac and Alves as his wide players. And he'll go with Salic up front. So effectively, he'll look for pace and power up front with a solid base. It's difficult. We've got a massive squad. Some of them are out of form. Some of them are in form. Some of them are not fit. Ollie Tanner's not up to speed yet. I thought Ruben looked quite sharp when he came on the other day, but it's difficult, you know. Like, if I'm being honest, like really honest, and what I'd like to see us do is I'd like to see us go with a kind of 3-5-2, and but a really aggressive one. I'd like to see it be like Fish, Darland. Actually, I'd go Fish, Darland, Bagan as a 3. I'd go O'Dowd left wing back. Probably go with Alves as the right wing back, and then in the midfield I would go Mansverk, Turnbull, and Robertson, with Ruben just off Salic, and I'd make the midfield super strong. 2 really young, hard-working wide players, or like hard-working. I know Dowder's not young, but like hard-working wing backs. Bit of creativity with Ruben, with base behind him. And what I'd be saying to Ruben is, don't worry about defending. Like, obviously, it's in your area, you've got to do your job and press and that. But I want to see you just wander from corner to corner and find spaces, link up play, create, and get the ball, get the wide players in behind, you get crosses into Salic. And I'd be saying to Ruben, yes, fine, just have a free roll off Salic, because we've got Mansverk, we've got Robertson, we've got Turnbull in the middle behind you, who can all play and are there taking care of the middle. And then, you've got O'Dowd, Alves, Ashford, whoever in the wide areas. This is part of the problem, is we don't know our best team. The manager doesn't know his best team. He doesn't even know his best system. We've got too many players, so it's very difficult to pick like the best group. Personally, I think you've got to go for pace and fighters and kind of hope for the best. I do think Sheffield United, though, are a little bit, they're there for the taking at the moment. I really do think that, because you get an early goal against them, they are going to crumble to somewhat, because the pressure's on them. They haven't won a game in 3 games. They've lost. You get an early goal, like that could be the key for Cardiff. And I know that sounds ridiculous, the form we're in, where we are in the league and where Sheffield United are in the league. But Sheffield United are in such a bad run of 3 losses. If Cardiff could go and press high and be aggressive from the start and just force a goal early, all the pressure's on Sheffield United then, because their promotion stuff is falling apart. They haven't won a game in 3. The fans are frustrated. Like, you could really capitalise on that, because then they've got to come out. So if you get an early goal, they've got to come out at you, and then you can utilise that pace on the break to maybe hit them on the break and get a second. So that would be my game plan, is to try and be. Everyone expects Cardiff to sit in. Just sit. They're going to sit in and try and get a lucky goal. But I've said probably since Christmas, our best form of defence is attack, because we cannot defend for 94 minutes. We switch off at some point. So our best form of attack, best form of defence is attack. Get the ball up the other end, win the ball higher, be aggressive, fight, use your pace, and just take your chances. That's why I would go with that sort of 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1. Don't bother with the 3 at the back, even though I think that's what he will do. I would go, 4-2-3-1. Get Mansverk must play for me, because he's physical, he's aggressive, and he'll go and get shit done. But he can also carry the ball and pick a pass. Then I'd get, a Turnbull or a Robertson in with him, maybe both. And then I'm looking for pace in the wide areas and up with Salic. Whether you either go with Davis and Alves, or Davis and Ashford, or Davis and O'Dowd in the wide areas, and then put Ruben off Salic, or you go all out and you go Salic and Davis up front, or Salic and Robinson up front. I think what I would say is, if it's 0-0 and 20 minutes to go, I don't want to see like for like, but I also don't want to just see, like, we have to have a plan. And I think I would like to see a plan where maybe Mate goes up top with Salic. Like, we've got to be more creative in what we're doing, but the players have got to know what the plan is. You can't just chuck a load of players on and say, go do something. There's got to be a shape. There's got to be a plan. There's got to be a way of thinking. It's got to be cohesive. And that's the one thing Cardiff are not, is cohesive. We haven't been cohesive all season. My Cardiff City player to watch this week, really tricky because you don't know who's going to play. I've got a sneaky feeling that Salic might be on the bench and he might play Mate, or he might even revert to the team we played before Salic came in, with Robinson up front, Ruben just behind, Tanner wide, Robertson and Turnbull in the midfield. I wouldn't be shocked. But for me, I do think Manswerk has to play. I thought we missed him against Stoke, his physicality. And as much as Callum Chambers has done a good job in midfield, an excellent job in midfield, I think that experiment is done for the time being, simply because I think Manswerk offers more. But yeah, I'm sure we'll see a very defensive structure with wide pace, is my guess. But I think in terms of my man to watch, I'm going to go with Manswerk because I feel like he can be that dynamo. He can be that catalyst for this team. He's aggressive. He's physical. He can carry the ball in tight areas. He's press resistant as well, which not many of these players are. When the pressure's on, are they brave enough to want the ball and receive the ball with two players around them? And he is. And he'll battle and he'll fight. And you need that. We need these players who are going to fight. And really, if you strip back who's good at what, let's look at this squad as we finish up now. Let's look at it. Which ones of these players have got the attributes, the mentality, and the attitude and the application to just fight? Fight for themselves, fight for their badge, fight for their teammates. And I mean, like, we can have a look now quickly, but, you know, Fish, I think, has showed he's a fighter. NG, we know, has it in him. O'Dowda has shown he will. Darland's struggled a little bit physically, but I don't think it's a lack of care or anything like that. Alves has shown he's up for a bit of a scrap. Davis, I like. He's got a bit of a Bellamy in him in terms of he's got that bit of aggression. Isaac Davis, for me, has got to play. Probably, this is the thing. When the pressure's on, for some of these young players, it's really, really hard. Like, it's such a high pressure situation for the Colwells, the Alves, the Isaac Davis, the Ashfords, Bagan, but the Robertson. The problem is, though, right? Ruben, Davis, Ashford, Bagan, they're Cardiff boys, like, they're Cardiff fans. So they're going to give everything they've physically got. They're going to fight. But then also, do they feel the pressure more because of that? Because they're fans, because it's their club, because their families, it's so tricky. But what I will not accept is lack of effort. And I suppose at least those boys will give everything. Manswerk showed he's up for a fight, physically and mentally. I think Chambers has too, in fairness to him. I just think the time now for Chambers, do you even put him back in defence with Fish? I think that's a risk because of how ropey he was earlier in the season in centre-back. I mean, unless you move him into the right-back area, because the reason I'm saying about moving Chambers back is simply because I don't think Omar Risa wants to drop him. Basically, it's not like I would put him on the bench for this game because I think you need Manswerk and either a Turnbull or a Robertson alongside him. I don't expect that will be what the manager picks. I think it'll be Manswerk and Chambers. Look, I think that'll be your midfield two, and then a toss of a coin for who's in the kind of number 10 role, which is a big risk. I think if we set up to try and hold Sheffield United and pinch a goal, we're asking for trouble, and I think we'll lose the football match. If we go out to win this football match and we are positive and aggressive and we have the personnel, round pegs, round holes, pace, fighters, the mentality, the application, the attitude is all right, I think Cardiff City can win this game. But a lot of things have got to go against the kind of grain of what's happened this season. We suddenly, all of a sudden, need to find togetherness. We need to move the ball quicker. We need to press higher. We need to take our chances. We need to fight for every ball. We need to be aggressive. And other than a handful of players, we haven't seen that on a regular basis. Now, I'm sure if you spoke to some of those players, they'd say that's because they've been set up that way. And I'm sure if you spoke to some of the, the manager, he'd say, well, I want to play this way. So there's a disconnect there, because if the manager wants to play high press, move the ball quick, pace out wide and up front, and you've got the players who can do that and are more suited to that, why isn't it happening? Where's the disconnect? I don't know. I don't know the answer. This has been your Sheffield United preview, Cardiff preview. I find it difficult because, look, I'm hopeful. I want to believe, and I believe that if Cardiff can stay up this year, this season might finally be the kick up the arse that the owner and the board need to put things in place to take us forward. But can we stay up? Is it too late? Will Vincent Tan bring in Neil Warnock? This could be out of date by Friday. If Neil Warnock comes in before Friday, I don't think he will now. I think it's too late. But they should have probably done it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Should have probably brought in Slaven Bilic in December or Ryan Lowe in January. All these different opportunities they had to bring in an experienced man. And look, I don't think it's a lack of trying from Omar Issa. I just don't think the club has given him the resources and the support for him to do the job to the best of his ability. Ultimately, he needed an experienced head with him. He needed a full host of coaches and coaching staff, and he needed the players to stick with him. And now I'll leave that to you guys to decide whether you think the players have stuck with him or not. But he's also accountable. He's had enough games in charge to make a difference and to improve things. They haven't improved. And now it is literally 4 games. You need to win games. However, I will finish on a positive. If Cardiff City can find a way to take 6 points from Friday and Monday, things will look very different Monday night. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Cardiff City victory because I'm not ever the optimist. But I think that's more hope than belief. But I do believe we have the players to go and win if everything, attitude and application and tactically and is set up a bit more. Go and win the football match. Attack is the best form of defence for us. But there we go. It's a stressful time. If you want something a bit more positive, do check out the interview which I dropped on Tuesday night with Phil Stant, the legend that is Phil Stant. And I'm going to have a couple more of those with sit-downs with ex-players and stuff to regale some stories and the rest of it. Bit of a change of schedule this week because of the bank holiday. So obviously we've got a preview tonight. Tomorrow night, 1927 Club after the game. It'll be 9 o'clock. Saturday night, Rebuilding Cardiff City, episode 2 drops. Sunday night will be the breakdown where we'll also preview the Monday game. Monday night, we'll have the 1927 Club post-match reactions. Okay. And of course, there'll be stuff every day, maybe even a couple of little bits extra as well. We'll have to give you a little treat here and there. Really appreciate all the support. Really appreciate all the messages about my health and stuff. I'm managing it as best I can. It's not easy. Stay out of hospital is the main thing. We are 9 days. In fact, in 10 days' time, we'll have already done the Glen Loovens evening. If you haven't got your tickets, get them. There is not many left now. It's going to be a cracking night. I'm very much looking forward to it. And, of course, check out my interview with Mark Bowen from Wednesday night on Cymru Sport. I'm looking forward to doing that. It's going to be cool. Thanks so much. If you're not a member, become a member. That's what allows us to do all the cool stuff that we're doing. And it's only going to get better. It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to grow. Big up. Keep the faith. In a bit.